everything from internal, body language, mindset, techniques, the whole package. Because the thing is, a lot of people just focus on one thing, but in order to get the best shot, focus on everything. Right? So, Ryan Johnson, let's give him a hand. Come here, man.
So we've all kind of had a chance to hang out a little bit. How much time are we? 15?
Take it away, whatever it takes. 10?
Shuttle will be here in 35 minutes.
Perfect. We'll be here in 35. Okay. So let me just give you a little background on where I'm kind of coming from, where I've been, so you understand where I'm at. I guess would probably be the best place to say that. So currently I'm 37 years young. I started lifting weights with my dad when I was 7 years old, so this is just what I've grown up doing. And I was reading magazines or looking at pictures rather, and doing that whole deal at a real early age. I had a gym membership to World's Gym in the 5th grade before I worked out with my older brother, and this is something I've done my entire life. As I have gotten older, and to where I was 18, 19, 20, I started realizing that there was a lot more to food than just a protein, carbohydrate, or fat. So I really got challenged first, and when I really started digging into disease-specific nutrition was when my dad came down with prostate cancer. This was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and I knew nothing about it at the time as far as what you can do on a lifestyle basis, what causes it, what foods you can use, and things like that. So I reached out to a lot of my resources, and I have blessed to know some really amazing people that know, like, and love and trust what I do. So I have some amazing people that I can call and say, hey, what's up, what do you think about this, for support or advice or whatever. None of them had any kind of information in the form of, hey, you need to focus on these foods, you need to focus on doing some type of mental detoxification, nothing like that, right? So that led me on a pretty interesting goose chase unknowingly. That's where I ran into one of my coaches, and I got into doing disease-specific nutrition reversal. So I worked with people with Parkinson's, cancer, and AIDS, and things like that. And a lot of my knowledge is understanding like why kiwis reverse asthma, or why you can eat the avocado seeds to reverse heart disease, like stuff that most people don't really know a lot about. Going into a lot of, like, if all of you connect with me on Facebook, I post a ton of videos. A lot of my stuff is from the grocery store, like getting into understanding, hey, this is what asparagus do, this is why it's your top detoxifier, this is why you want to use coconut oil for this type of fat. But a lot of stuff that most people are unaware of. That stuff's pretty cool, but it's not near as cool as what I'm going to show you next. So, out of all the 80,000 hours I've calculated that I have wrapped up in doing this stuff for fun, it's just what I'm passionate about, I have never in my life ever experienced anything more potent and powerful than body language, ever. I've had more miracles happen in 2 to 3 minutes with people without even talking about a food than I ever have with anything else. So everybody's going to start doing stuff. So we'll talk about it, okay? So I have 2 different coaches. One of my coaches is the CIA interrogation and the sniper guy, and another one's from a completely different discipline, and they both blend, which is crazy, okay? So let's just get into some things and get into some practical application. Stuff you can walk away with right now and understand what your body is saying to you. Because ultimately, if you really desire to be your best, you understanding yourself to the best of your ability is stop number 1. Because there is no one outside of you. So when you can connect with yourself, you're automatically going to create a safer haven for people that you're communicating with and interacting with to connect with them more efficiently. And we're transceivers, so when we're talking to people and you're feeling things in your body, that's your body letting you know what's going on with the person on the other end of the phone or the person that's in front of you, so you can literally start understanding what questions to ask, or how to position your body, left side, right side, I'll talk about all this stuff, and how to really truly create a connection, because ultimately with what we all do, it's about connection. The faster you can create connection, the faster you can create rapport, the faster you can create results, the faster you have trust, the faster you can help them to get whatever result they come to you for. Would you all agree? Okay, so let's talk about some stuff. In no specific order. If you want to record this, I highly encourage you to do so. If you want to write notes, I encourage you to do that too. So let's just talk about a few things first. Here's your basic 3. these three are as potent as it gets. So I'm going to share with you what I do. Every hour I have an alarm that goes off on my phone, shoots me a scripture verse, and I run 2 to 3 filters at that time. Like this week I've kind of been off my mark just because we've been doing other stuff, but when I'm in my normal daily grind and doing things, here's kind of what I do. Every hour I will say my goals out loud, 3 that I have specifically, and I'll ask myself, what am I creating? I ask myself, what am I creating, to understand where my attention is, yes, but more importantly, where my subconscious is vibrating and functioning at emotionally. Because you don't get what you think about, you get what you're committed to on a subconscious level. So if you're resonating certain things, and you're thinking, oh, I feel joy and all this, but your subconscious is like, I don't love myself, I have anger, I have resentment, whatever that looks like, that's what you're going to get. If you take a look at your life, and you look at the people, the places, the circumstances, the situations, events, and things that show up, whatever those things are, whatever feelings those things create, that's what's functioning internally. Okay, so no matter what happens, always ask yourself, I wonder what I did to create this. Because that way you're out of the blame, you did this to me, and when you did this, I felt this. That gets you out of that mindset. If you can get out of that mindset immediately, you'll be able to take your power back and make choices from a place of creation versus reaction. Okay? So here's your 3 points. Everybody touch your stomach. If your stomach is tight, that's fear. Chest in your throat is sadness. Back in your neck is anger. At any point in time, your body is going to be giving you feedback. It's a matter of if you're tuned into it. There's a lot of, how would I say this? Anesthetized people, and I would be in my past too. I had huge drug addictions, and it was 253 different times. Was suicidal, spent 7 months in jail. So I've been through my own journey to get to this point. A lot of our society is so medicated in the form of fear-based propaganda, news, pills, potions, all kinds of stuff. So we are taught to not feel your feelings. And what I'm inviting you to do today is to give yourself permission to feel your feelings. That's truly where you're going to make your best decisions and function in the state of flow versus reaction. Like our conscious mind, so your conscious mind, I invite you to consider this. Conscious mind is an ant. And this is Gary Keller. Here's a book I would encourage you all to read. It's The One Thing by Gary Keller. It's an amazing book. I've read it 3 times. Those guys are all in Austin, so I take a lot of their trainings for free and work with a lot of their guys. And Don Hobbs was the president of Jim Rohn's organization. He's a really good friend of mine, and he's actually the one who does a lot of their bold and match training, which is a lot of sales training, but it's embedded commands and things like that most people don't understand a lot of. Really great information. Water. We'll get a lot of those. And I would encourage you to drink a lot of water too. And it's important because if you're not drinking water, you're dehydrated, that means you subconsciously don't want to feel. Okay? Very important. Water equates emotionally to your feeling world. Okay? So, backtrack for a second. Stomach is tight, that's fear. Chest and throat is tight, that's sadness. Back and neck is tight, that's anger. Important thing to remember. This is a writer downer. It's not about what's wrong. It's never about what's wrong. Matter of fact, I invite you today to get out of the mindset of is this wrong or is this right? Instead, consider things from what's my highest potential. When I'm in a wrong or right, I'm automatically in a condemnation. If I'm in a condemnation that I can't walk or love or I can't transmute emotions that are less than par in the form of anger, resentment, unconsciousness, into joy, into enthusiasm, okay? So always ask yourself, what's my highest potential and what does this turn into? So we're going to go through things. Write these down if you choose to have these for later. Number 7 on the top is enthusiasm. I'm going to take you through the emotional scale. So enthusiasm is number 7, that's the top. Enthusiasm, pain is number 6. Anger is number 5. Fear is number 4. Grief or sorrow is number 3. Number 2 is apathy, which is I can't, it's too hard. 1 is unconsciousness. So here's the most important part about that, because if you're ever talking to me, and when I work with my clients, the beauty of why I get to do what I do is because of the results that I can create typically in seconds to minutes if someone's willing to play along. So when I ask my clients to get into the story, I'm like, all right, pause. What's your body saying right now? Where do you have tightness at? Do you have tightness in your chest or your throat? Do you have tightness in your stomach? Do you have tightness in your back or your neck? Oh, I have some tightness in my back or my neck. Okay, awesome. Would it be fair to say you have anger? And they may say, how'd you know? I'm like, it's just old Jedi secrets. It's really just body language, okay? Once I can, quote unquote, name a thing, and all I'm doing is lining myself up with scripture at this point to get myself out of the way. Once you can name a thing or an emotion, then you can have power over it. So for example, if my client is feeling anger, this is important, but we've already expressed this, but would you all agree that the only time that exists is right now? So yesterday and tomorrow, yesterday may never come, tomorrow will never happen again unless you keep living in it, okay? So here's the cool part about that. In order to transmute, resurrect, alleviate an emotion into its highest counterpart, you get to position yourself with your language in a sense that creates right here, right now. For example, if I say, man, Joshua, I'm feeling angry. That's a state. That's tomorrow, that's right now, and that's yesterday. I have no power. I'm straight up in a victim at that point, okay? Now, another way to position the information, to position myself right here, right now, where I can consciously take control of it and change it into what I'm choosing to experience is this way. I would say, I notice I feel anger. Okay? Notice I feel anger is right here, right now. I feel it's currently, anger is an emotion. I'm feeling angry as a state. I can do nothing with that other than consistently stay in anger. Okay? So if I say I feel anger, that's the important part. I've named a thing. Now, I ask myself, what's returning to me? What's returning to me is my forgiveness. My forgiveness of the person, my dad. My forgiveness of the person, my mom. And I would take them through the exact experiences that happen one by one and help them to transmute, resurrect, and to move through those negative or lessened emotional patterns. So I would say, all right, I give myself permission to feel my feelings. It's okay, I feel anger. I give myself permission to forgive my dad. I give myself permission to forgive my mom. And here's the most important part. Perfect love casts out fear scripturally, but it also casts out everything less than. So I say I love my anger into my forgiveness of my mom, of my dad, of myself, and I reclaim my authority. So all of the thyroid issues going on in the world, from my experience, it's working with over 30,000 people at this point. From what I've experienced is that thyroid will specifically, thyroid is anger, and we'll talk about the other ones in a second, but just so we're staying on point here, so thyroid is anger. So when you have thyroid issues, hypothyroidism is mom, hyper is dad. And I ask clients these questions, and they're like, well, I'm on Synthroid or whatever, well, what did your doctor say? He says I have hypothyroidism. Awesome. I said, well, do you have any unresolved anger with a feminine figure in your life? And she's like, how did you know? Honestly, I just been told some pretty crazy stuff. Is it true? Yes. Okay. So now you can actually start to work with it. So here's the important part. There's more body language for you. Now, here's the difference between therapy and what I've been taught and blessed to do. Therapy, phonetically speaking, is the rapist. Okay? There's a lot of stuff. Parasites is pair of sites, literally in conflict between your conscious and your subconscious mind, creating duality. Grinding of the teeth at night, conflict between dad and mom, or conflict between my thoughts and my feelings. Pretty easily resolved once you figure that out. That's what TMJ is. The stuff that I'm telling you right now, sharing with you, is amazing. I had a lady come to me who's had knee issues for 30 years and stomach issues for 30 years that the doctors could not fix or change. Literally 14 minutes, we were able to resolve all that. No issue. She sends me a video. I got her, thank God, like pulling teeth trying to get her to shoot me a video testimony, but she finally did. She goes, you know, it's crazy, Brian. We went to Disneyland last week, and I was able to walk for 3 days with no issue. I would typically been out of condition for a month after that because I wouldn't move. And it's all fear. It was all unforgiveness, male figure. You understand the symptom, here's what I'm inviting you to consider. And matter of fact, I'm inviting you to execute this for sure. No longer identify with any type of Western medicine diagnoses. That's just their way. Unknowingly understand that they have less than 6 hours of nutritional education. That's nothing. 6% of graduating physicians have a minimum of 3 hours of nutritional education. That's nothing. Not wrong. It's just where their method of practicing medicine is. I haven't been sick in like 24 years. It's just because I understand what to do. And it's mainly a bad thought will kill you much faster than a bad germ. Your thoughts is by far the most important thing that you can do to succeed or not succeed, period. What you're saying, I can find out immediately where someone's functioning by the words that they're using specifically. Not wrong. Everyone's on their journey. It's my job to show up at my best, so if someone's willing and ready to receive the information, that I will share with them. And typically what I've found, because of where I function at with foods and just my consciousness, people will raise automatically by being around me. One of my declaration and affirmation is when somebody already comes to me, they're already conscious. I'm just filling the gaps and helping them to understand that. Okay? So, let's go back through some stuff. A little review. Enthusiasm, pain, anger, fear, grief, apathy, and unconsciousness. Everybody have a sip.
Burner's happy about it.
So, alright, so enthusiasm is as high as it gets. That's Entheos, God in you. Your objective is to truly be like, I am enthusiastic about my life. That's your mental objective. And your other objective is to get your subconscious in agreement with you so you're functioning in alignment. Okay? That's number 7. So when I say 7, here's the crazy stuff. Okay, this is where it gets a little wild. I need to dig this. So when someone's talking to me, we're all doing it right now, and I'm not digging into anything. I'm just being present and just sharing information right now. I don't turn it on until it's necessary. When people are talking and they're scratching, it's not because they itch. It's like dig and scratch. So here's the deal. Our body is constantly using, our subconscious is constantly using our body like the dashboard of a car. Okay? All of these itches and scratches that's going on is your body communicating with me, attempting to get a message through. Because most of us have something that we have not forgiven, loved, and resolved, and that's why it's presenting itself in the form of a symptom, which is ultimately a blessing in disguise if you choose to act on it. So when you have symptoms that show up consistently, wherever they show up is indicative of what emotional information is functioning. Like when I started doing jiu-jitsu and started doing kickboxing, I would always injure myself where I had emotional belief systems functioning. Here's a crazy story for you. So, first time I got introduced to body language, and I was working with one of my coaches, and I was in class just like this, and we'll say that Amy is Bob right now. So you be Bob, okay? Well, there was a young lady sitting right here talking to Bob, and I had my arm up on a chair, and I'm digging it. I'm like, all right, something's up. That's abnormal. I understand itches and scratches, and I understand some of body language, but not what I was about to find out about myself. So at the break, I walked up to Bob, and I was like, hey man, I was like, what does such and such mean? And literally like 4 words out of my mouth, he goes, well, how long have you had a death wish? I was like, that's pretty fucking serious, dude. He's like, well, that's interesting. I said, well, I said I was suicidal when I was 20. He goes, don't say anymore. Let's talk about it when everybody gets back in class. Okay. Class starts back up, and I sit in the chair. It's crazy because I go through the whole. Who feels tight? Who feels their throat right now a little tight? Okay. Okay. So everything is transferable. You're probably going to feel it if you have some of these things functioning with you, you're going to feel it right now because I'm feeling it. It's perfectly okay to say I choose to make this fun and easy. That's a ride or downer. I have more people that use I choose to make this fun and easy every day verbally that will make a massive difference on how you show up. That's the opposite of I can't, it's too hard. Apathy, which is spleen. So if your immune system is constantly challenged, that's spleen. That's the belief system of I can't, it's too hard.
I just want to say that as soon as you were saying that, my throat entirely opened up and my chest just went like that. It was cool.
Awesome.
Like as soon as you finished.
Yeah, we'll keep going for sure. There'll be more. So, that sitting in the chair. I was in the chair for 20 some odd minutes, and I'll be honest with you, it was the craziest shit I ever experienced. Because when I sat down, he goes, well, how long have you not been to love yourself? He goes, well, do you love yourself? And I said, yeah, in that chair over there. He's like, pause. Everything I'm saying and everything anyone is saying to you is code. This, that, these, that's 3 levels minimal of separation for me being right here, right now. Anytime you use this, that, these, them, they, that's separation. The family, my family. The money, my money. I can immediately tell whether someone's home or not specifically by language codes. And it's not wrong. It just helps me to understand how to support them. Okay? So for the next 20 minutes, Bob is coaching me back into my experience. And here's what happened. I finally was giving myself permission to love myself, and my body's like, okay. And let me just explain this to you. Bicep, left side, this is stomach, which is also sorrow, which is female figure, which is why I was suicidal when I was 20. Okay, if it would have been right side, it would have been a male figure. And let me just go through this with you. So everyone touch your hand. Everywhere you have a contraction on your hand, that's about you. Anytime where you have a contraction on your body, that's about you. So, me, others, male figure. So dudes, this is us. This is other male figures. Self, others, self, others, self, others. So, yeah, so when you have a contraction, like bicep, self. Extension, others. Okay? Self, others. Others, self, 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 bottom of our foot, self, top of our foot, others, shin, others, quad, others. So when you're doing things in different places, that's indicative of whether it's about another figure male or whether it's about you personally.
So all the hamstring pulls on all sports.
Yeah. I'm inviting you to consider that everything that happens in your environment, in your life, is due to the indicative of what emotional system is functioning as to where that injury will show up. We create everything. Okay? Not wrong. It's just feedback. It's good to know. So, once I was home, behind my eyes, and I left class that day, I could swear to, I thought I had eaten a couple hits of acid, to be honest with you. Because I left there, and everything was like, I literally felt canceled. Thought and experience that I had 10 onion layers peeled off of my eyes where I was finally seeing everything that was going on, the vibration and colors, the planet, just birds, everything was different. I mean, man, I literally felt like I had to eat some acid. That's how different my experience was. Really intense. And I've done a lot of work, man. I've done a lot of work on myself, a lot of work with my coaches, like a lot of just crazy shit, like body electronics, like people plugging into you, holding points, and you're literally blowing out circuits of bad memories and thoughts that's functioning through your system. It's like literally getting an upgrade. Like I literally had my friend stick his finger all the way in my mouth, in the back of my sphenoid bone, and open up my whole jaw. I had my coach stick his thumbs in my mouth and jam the whole roof of my mouth up, which is all expanding your mental ceiling. Like crazy shit. Most people are like, yeah, I like that stuff. That's kind of what I do. I guess that's what we're talking about. So that day is really where my life really changed, because I had been functioning on I didn't love myself and I wasn't good enough for like 10 fucking years. Like, and I would literally get into a relationship, be doing great at work, had an amazing time, and all of a sudden I would start having fucked up thoughts and fucked up things happen right behind it, and I fucking sabotaged everything. Everything. Thank God I'm alive. Thank you. Multiple. 10, 20 times I showed me a day. I know why I'm here and have been through the ringer to do so. And I should have been dead a long time ago, cancer clear. I choose life, my life specifically. So this information has really transformed a lot of lives immediately. So let's get into some more stuff. So, okay. Let's talk about this. So everyone touch your head. Okay, this is thinking, knowing, and remembering. So everyone say thinking, knowing, and remembering. Okay. Neck. Anyone have neck issues? Okay, here you go. Let's solve them real fast. I give myself permission to think and do with ease. Say it out loud. See if your neck thing goes away. Think and do with ease. So the beauty of this stuff is that once you figure out what emotional system is functioning and you understand what language code to use, your body's going to change immediately. And the cool thing about it is this is not like, you don't have to guess. Your body's going to say, I will. I'm seeing differently. I can. My leg will move forward, meaning I'm ready to move forward. My leg will move forward, meaning I'm ready to move forward with a female figure and move forward with what I'm receiving. It's that fast. So when I'm working with people, I can watch all this and immediately know where they're at and love them in the journey and in the process. And when people know that I understand this stuff, they're like, hey, you understand body language stuff? I said, maybe. He goes, well, what does such and such mean? I'm like, it doesn't work like that, brother. I was like, here's the deal. If you got a question, first thing I'm going to ask you is, do I have permission to ask you a question? They're going to say, yeah or sure. I said, this is not a yeah or sure fun conversation. This is a yes or no, because you're either in or you're not. Because what I'm going to ask you is not going to be beating around the bush. You're literally going to get right into whatever you got going on with dad or mom immediately, to the experience, to either resolve it or to continue running behind it. That's how fast this stuff is. So neck, it connects your thinking, knowing and remembering what you're doing. Our body is about doing. Arms are about doing. Okay? Legs are about moving forward. Hips connect our doing and moving forward. Okay? That's baseline. Now, if you were to literally cut your body in half, the right side is your masculine, the male figure. Left side is feminine or receptive, intuitive. Okay? So, the left side obviously is about ladies, dudes, we're on the right. So now, everyone take your hand. This is handling. Okay? Your wrist is flexibility in handling. Anybody wrist issues?
Just had a hand issue pop up last week when I put pressure on the left hand.
So I give myself permission to receive what I'm handling. Who knows?
Okay. It's just on the fifth metacarpal.
So, all right, so let's go through fingers. So everybody hold your right thumb up. This is your will. Both your thumbs is your will. Right side is masculine or doing. So this is your will to do, give, or help. Okay? Index finger, giving direction. Bird, God-given strength. So when someone flips you off, you're like, yes! Thank you. You've never seen so many people get pissed off when you do that. They're like, what? I'm like, thank you! So, your ring finger, this is help and beauty. Your pinky is sex, money, and desires. Watch next time you go to the coffee shop. How many people are shopping? Sure. Sex, money, and desires. Okay? So, wrist, flexibility, handling. Arm is about doing. Our body, the waist up, is about doing. Hips should connect our thinking and our doing. Okay, so let's talk about left side. Left side is your receptive or feminine, creative nature. There's really about 5 to 6 questions you can ask per body part. You can nail it down pretty fast by watching how people respond. Okay. Feet are about standing under or understanding. Ankles are about flexibility and understanding. Okay? So now, here's some Jedi stuff. This is stuff you can use right now. What I invite you to consider moving forward is this. The only true communication that exists is yes or no responses. So if you desire to have better relationships, better connection, use yes or no. And here's how interesting the times are. When I talk to people, I'm very direct, specifically for this, and I may say yes, and they go, "Are you mad?" I'm like, "No, there's no misunderstanding where we stand, because most people are yeah, or sure, or absolutely. Absolutely what? Absolutely yes, absolutely no. It will dramatically clean up your conversation, your connection, by communicating in true communication. Okay? So if I'm talking to you and I'm saying, yes, I love to do this, and my head is all wrinkled up, this means that no, I don't. This means that I'm telling myself something that I don't believe subconsciously. You can't lie with body language when you understand what to watch and how to watch it. It's not wrong. It's not about saying, oh, well, you're wrong. It's about creating a win-win situation where I can say, hey, you know what? I love you, and not I love you, but I love you, and your head is not agreeing with you, and that's okay. I think you should understand that. So maybe we could readdress the situation. Maybe ask a different question to figure out where your glitch is. Okay? So when someone's talking and they say yes, yes, see the movement? Very micro, very short. Unless you know what you're looking for, you're not going to catch it. Yes. Yes. It's like fast. Okay? A lot of crazy stuff. So ears are all about hearing. So here's what's interesting too. Imagine an upside down baby in your ear, which means your head is the bottom, your body is the middle, and your feet are the top. Hearing something or moving forward, giving myself direction, moving forward. Okay, a lot of crazy stuff. You can get really dynamic. So, hands, the top finger is about our thoughts. Middle finger is about practical execution. The next phalange down is physically related to self. So when you find yourself scratching different ways, it's not because it's cool, it's because that's your body giving you information. Okay? So let's go through the code. So if someone's scratching 3 times, remember, enthusiasm, pain, anger, fear, grief, apathy, and unconsciousness. So when someone's walking, when I'm talking to them, and they're doing 3, I know automatically there's deep-seated sorrow. Anyone's got adrenal issues, I know automatically I'm dealing with deep-seated grief, deep-seated sorrow. Pancreatic issues, I know for a fact, the diabetes aspect, there has been a specific situation where this person has lost the sweetness of life that has affected pancreatic energy. It's now affecting diabetes, and it's also affecting them to have the desire to crave more sugars to extract artificial sweeteners to improve the sweetness of life that they are missing from the experience that they haven't loved and forgiven. I have found that as spiritual creatures, we break down energetically or spiritually or emotionally first, and then we have the physical experience. My experience. Not wrong, it's just what I've come to notice and see. So, okay, let's talk about this. We have really about 5 minutes. So I'm going to share with you what my CIA guy did with me. So we were in class, and I understand your right side is your dominant side, your left side is your receiving, or to where you're opening up. Like this, everybody, just pay attention to how you feel right now with me sitting this way. Everyone's on my left. Set the break out here. Okay? Now I'm going to switch. What do you notice?
I feel a better connection.
I'm in an authoritative position right now. So if I am establishing dominance, which I don't ever look at it in that way, if I'm establishing authoritative position, I'll go right. I automatically, because I've trained myself so much on this, you saw me sitting the most of the time like this. Because my mind has already been dialed down enough to where this is the best way that I can connect with you, where no one feels threatened. If there's any masculinity issues between anybody subconsciously, I'm not going to throw them off. This is a position where I can share and people are like, oh, this is interesting. Rather than saying, fuck, what's he going to talk about? Dad issues come up or whatever else. It's not wrong, it's just where we're at, okay? So when I'm on the phone with people, I always put my Bluetooth in my left ear. If I'm on the phone with someone having a connect call or having a conversation where I'm desiring to support them or they're reaching out to me for service, I won't hold the phone in my right hand. This is my doing side. So if I don't have the phone in my right hand, I'm automatically, while I'm listening to them, I'm thinking, all right, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, instead of not even being present in the conversation, just being there, right? So I immediately switch the phone to my left hand and be like, thank you. Because then I can just hear and I can listen without me trying to make any adjustments.
I've noticed that recently. I put my earbud in my left ear and it feels a little longer when you say something right.
Yeah.
So you might have both and it pulls one out.
Totally, that's a big deal. So if you're ever trying to connect with someone, like my family, a lot of times I can be maybe a bit abrasive for someone who is less comfortable or confident with themselves, just because of how I talk. I can be a little more straightforward. So I consciously make sure that I am left-handed. Hey, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts? Rather than me saying automatically like, all right, hold on, let's have this conversation, let me switch. So that I can offset that energy to where everyone feels okay and comfortable. Like if I'm, so hop up, bro. If I'm talking to a guy and I know it's like another alpha guy, so put your right hand, okay, your right foot forward, like we're shaking hands. I would not approach him like this. Especially if I knew that someone was in the alpha position to where they would probably want to feel more dominant. I'm okay with that, I understand that. I would go like this. How you feel? Yeah. So if I was coming up to him and approach him, I would approach him like this. I feel cooler. Like if I'm on like this, my back gets hot fast. I feel it. So switch your feet and see how you feel.
It's a little easier, but still.
Yeah, no, stay there. You feel how the flow is? Yeah. So you, I mean, this. I can tell you that understanding that is a massive shift. Like, and here's what, and all of you are high-level achievers, so you're going to go ahead and promise without actually promising that you're only going to use this to create win-win situations. Because you can totally take advantage of someone who does not know what's going on. For example, when my coach first busted this stuff out, there was a lady in our class, and he goes, sit over here. He goes, how old are you? She goes, I'm not going to tell you. Perfect. Get up. Sit over here. Where Katarina is at. He goes, now, how old are you? And you should have seen her. She goes, I feel like I have to tell you. And energetically, she was in a position to where that is supposed to happen. So, understanding that as you are asking questions of your clients, you may have them on your right, lovingly. That way you can get them to be honest with themselves, and you can help to control the conversation to elicit an outcome that's ultimately going to create their best life, lovingly. And what I may do, like if I'm on stage talking and I'm saying, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? I'll switch immediately. So that way, open up. Then I might say, well, you know about this, and this, right? How does it make you feel?
What about standing just square?
I prefer staggering. I move around a lot. Like I may even have my left hand in my pocket, or I may just stand this way. Ultimately, it's about what you feel best off, because if you don't feel good, they're also going to pick that up.
Okay. I noticed that too when I was talking. I noticed that I like to kind of just.
You're square. It's okay. Ultimately, it's about what you feel best with, but just understanding those little Yoda tricks, using them in the right context, in the right place, can make a massive shift on the rapport that you can create with someone immediately. Like when I talk to people, when I meet people for the first time, I understand that, and they're like, oh man, I feel so comfortable talking to you. It's like, that's awesome. Glad you do. It just allows people to take their guards down to where they can feel supported and feel loved and not judged, so you can truly help them out if that's what's supposed to happen. So I know that's really about time. So anyone have any questions that I can support and serve you with while we have a few more minutes? And I'll be here tomorrow too, so we can talk more. Probably just open the whole can of worms. So we have a whole 4 series that we've done digitally. We have a whole body language training that we did. It's 3 hours. It's amazing stuff. You dig into all this stuff. Like for coaches, like for all of you, for what you do, use it for yourself. Get to know yourself amazingly well and watch what kind of people show up in your life. Because ultimately you're attracting what's functioning underneath your awareness and now your awareness. So if you're experiencing people, places, things, and circumstances and situations that show up, understand that, oh wow, I wonder how I created this. And then you can change it. Like I can tell you this much, when I was partying my ass off, doing all the shit I didn't need to do, guess who I ran into? There could be 5,000 fucking people at the store, and I would run into the one person who's been up for 4 or 5 days. Never failed. And now that I don't function on that level, the only people that I run into are amazing people. The best ones, specifically.
When was the last time you came across a tweaker?
Tweaker? 5, 6 years ago, probably.
I'm just curious, yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah. It's really fascinating.
It's amazing. Like, if I would have had that experience myself, then
yeah, I had roommates that were all in rehab, coming out of rehab, whatever. And it was amazing while I lived with them how much I ran into those kind of guys.
Totally.
But I haven't come across anybody with
It's
a
amazing.
coke problem or whatever, like in years.
It's really about what we focus on. Like, you could literally have someone sitting next to you who think that life sucks. And me sitting here thinking that life's amazing and every day, like I'm just wondering how much better tomorrow can be than today. Completely different reality. So you get what you focus on. You get what you're telling yourself. Like, I don't remember who I was telling this, but your cells have a way of eavesdropping on your thoughts. I'll tell you this much. I have affirmations all over my arm for me specifically. And one thing I'll tell you that's been probably the biggest shift for me is having affirmations. Ones that make sense for you. If you don't believe them, then regress them, change them, whatever that may be. But picking some and using them daily is something that can dramatically shift where you're functioning. If you really choose, desire, not wanting is agreeing with not having, if you really choose to get the Jedi out of it, say it at night before you go to bed verbally. Because what you do before you go to bed is literally your thinker or your ant is out of the way. So it's not going to affect what you're putting in to water your garden. So you can notice pretty massive shifts pretty fast. You wake up 1 or 2 days later and all of a sudden you start having different behaviors. Your actions are different. Your mindset's different. Any questions? Good? All right.
So,
Yeah, choose and desire. I think everybody's right here.
right.
Yeah,
So,
guys.
right. We'll continue tomorrow. We'll continue tomorrow. It's a lot of good.